Bonsoir, épisode 69. C'est le épisode de le 69. Très bien, très bien.
Oh, wow. The sex episode. You really bring in the French accent. That is, it is. Is there a sexier accent than the French one? Maybe Latin?
Latin? You mean like Brazilian or something?
Yeah, like Brazilian.
Italian also?
Oh, what's the Portuguese? Isn't that supposed to be
the
romance language?
I mean, what's last? I mean, it sounds bad actually, because we might end up naming some not white people that have the
yeah.
Because I'm thinking
like
of a Russell Peters bit
or something like that. I
Which
mean,
one?
definitely. Like the clicking.
You don't think clicking is sexy?
I think actually, I think the clicking's sexy.
Clicking is sexy.
I feel like German and Russian are maybe not that sexy. They're so
too stern.
They're
too
very
cold.
stern and abrasive. Yeah. They're intimidating accents.
I mean, there's a lot of them. Most of them are. They can be. Most of them can be, and no, that's not true. Some of them just can't.
Yeah.
Some of them can't be.
I mean, it's every single language sounds ridiculous if it's not yours. You just get used to hearing foreign languages, and then you're like, oh, that's just a foreign language. But when you're a little kid, because all language just sounds weird. If I didn't know English would sound very weird to me. I'm sure. Because we make these weird sounds and communicate so much information through.
Did you see that X-ray
weird...
of the talking mouth? Like it's an X-ray of someone talking, and you see the tongue, like where it connects to the back here, and like how it's doing that while the teeth are going up and down. You realize that's what we're doing every day. Such a weird. I think it's the Science Girl Twitter, girl science, something with the word girl in it and science.
Yeah, I do wonder how sophisticated some other species language. Yeah, you ever see those videos? Here's something I've been wrestling with, is how much I should enjoy life. people with pet monkeys, because
how much you should enjoy them.
When I see it on Instagram, I'm like, that is amazing. And
it is.
It's like, it seems like it's his friend and they're just like besties and stuff, but then I'll see kind of a leash on it sometimes, and I'm like, I don't know, like, what's going on when they're not. It's Instagram, of course they're capturing the best aspect of it, but it's
depression day, you don't see that. It's tantrum day.
And what do you think about, have you ever what do you think about dressing up pets?
Dressing up pets, I think no for all of them except for horse with the saddle, so that it's too rough to ride it without it. But the sweaters, the dunce hat on the bear, all of it seems wrong.
It really does, especially because they don't seem comfortable. But I was thinking, sometimes when I see a monkey dressed up, I'm like, I bet that monkey loves getting dressed.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, because when someone drops their sunglasses in the gorilla enclosure or whatever, and the gorilla finds them and they're like putting them on backwards and checking it out. So I feel like I feel like there's a lot of monkeys where if they just came across some pants in a jungle or something and had seen humans wearing them, they would try them on.
Yeah,
I feel like
novel.
That's a good day if you're a primate.
That's a great day.
and you put your first pair of pants on. So
and
I
then
feel
you're
like you can
monkey.
dress them up because they're so close to human. But when people are doing it to their dog, especially when they put like shorts on, so you got to like take their shorts off so they can go to the bathroom and
you
stuff.
pull down the dog's Daisy Dukes. That's really strange.
Anyway, we're gonna do a whole different episode. We'll maybe do it next one or the one after about in and out group bias and stuff. But then we realized, Ramin pointed out that this is episode 69, and it's like, I bet we can riff about sex for 69
minutes exactly.
Why not? 69 minutes exactly.
I wonder when it was coined. I was looking this up earlier, and I think the first coinage of it was sometime in the 1700s. I think the French got it first, as with many other things. I think ménage à trois is French. I mean, of course it is, but they're the first to put a word to it. But 69.
Yeah.
It is funny. It's universally known. We all know it.
Yeah, it's a funny observation.
Did I tell you about the Dodgers, or not Dodgers game, the Lakers game, and we were ordering chicken fingers or something from the food court, and they have a number system. They're reading it out like 65, 67, 68, and then they read 69, and then we start snickering a little bit, and then the person behind the cash register also starts laughing, and then the fry cook also starts laughing, and then everybody just starts laughing at the order 69. It was a great moment of coming togetherness during that sports match.
Yeah, it's fun. It's an oldie but a goodie. I don't recall this book very well at all. Oh, by the way, we just found out we had a couple volunteer spots open up for the Mind Under Matter Campout. So if you go to the site, we should have a volunteer button on there. Otherwise, email us at mindunderfest@gmail, and we can get you an application. 4 hours of easy volunteering each day for a ticket. If you're interested, we just ended up having a few more needs than we originally realized, so a chance to get a free ticket for people. Okay, so there's this book, A Billion Wicked Thoughts: What the Internet Tells Us About Sexual Relationships. And I'm not maybe I'll do a full deep dive on this book some other time, because I'd need to review it. I didn't prepare. We just decided 5 minutes before recording that we're going to do an episode about sex. So we're winging it a little bit. I read this book a good 10 years ago, I think. And so we'll see how much I can retain off the top of my head. But it's a really cool concept. These two a neuroscientist and an evolutionary biologist, they just went through all of the porn. They literally went through 1 billion porn videos.
Wait, when was this made? Because you can't go through all of it.
I mean, it's a bit of an exaggeration, but they went through 1 billion porn videos. They got like volunteers and stuff like that, and tracked and categorized everything to see what were the most popular things. And so then it's like, well, what can you infer from that between from the aspect of a neuroscientist and from the position of evolution? Why do we gravitate toward these? Some things are like fairly normal, and then other things is like, why do guys want to see a male's dick in the porn and everything? And so it's a really interesting book. I don't recall any of it, but once we start talking, it'll start coming back to me. So some of the main, let's go through the porn categories. Let's see how many porn categories we can name. Let's do a game. You name one, and then I'll name one, and then whenever we run out, that person loses.
This episode is like 8 hours long. Like zebra orgy. All right. No, we don't even get to zebra orgy. Okay, I'll start. Amateur.
Threesome.
Asian? Does ethnicities count? Because
yeah.
I'm talking real taxonomy that they put on the stuff.
Yeah. Like you go to a porn site, this is what will show up. I haven't been to a porn site in 7 years, so
Me neither. I've never seen one in my life. Wouldn't even know. If you showed me yahoo.com and you showed me the #1 porn site, I'd be like, which one was it again? I wouldn't be able to tell.
All right. Gay porn.
Trans.
Bukkake.
Gangbang.
Hidden camera.
Reverse gangbang.
Does it count to say Bang Bus is Bang Bus
That's a
different
company.
than?
But actually, I think it
I mean,
sparked
like
a genre.
Porn. Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
or like the whole
I think it
casting
counts.
genre. Casting couch is a genre, I guess.
Yeah.
It depends where you go because different places, I'm assuming, have their own categories. Like one place might have lots of different ones with buses and stuff like that, but then other ones might not even touch the whole bus casting, like exploitationbus.org or something. Like they're just not even going near that.
Yeah. Okay. Lesbian? I already said gay.
That's different. That's the opposite.
Okay. All right. Your
So that
turn,
counts.
then.
Okay. It's crazy.
there's-
Like when you're trying to name the states and you're like, I got this, and then you say California, Texas, Wyoming, and then you're just blank for a second. I will go with piss.
Piss porn. Yeah, that's a thing. Oh God, now you just got me thinking of Two Girls, One Cup, and apparently there was a sequel that's worse. And now I'm disgusted and I can't think. I had it. It was.
We need one of those chess timers.
You win.
Yes, I did it.
It's remember old school porn. The people will never get to experience the plot lines. I think female porn has plot lines now that there's a bigger and bigger industry for female porn. It has, more of a plot going on. But
There's some references to stuff, yeah.
in the 80s, they were like writing all of these scripts and everything, and like just really, it's like really not understanding your product.
Yeah.
I think there is some appeal to being like, oh, maybe if I get a sexy delivery driver one day, or maybe I'll be a sexy delivery driver.
There's this one called Bat Pussy, which is the first parody film, I think, or at least the first known one. And no one knows who made it. And it's the strangest thing you'll ever see. And the guy is flaccid the whole time. And the person that plays Bat Pussy is like on this hopper thing and is like hopping around town on this like jumping ball thing, and it makes no sense. And to this day it's rated the #1 worst adult film of all time. That's how I know about it, because it's #1 worst. Like, I'm not gonna know what the 7th worst one is, but you should know what the #1 worst is. And someone recently AI upscaled it, which is a new thing across, not just adult films, regular films, but stuff that was made in the 60s and 70s. They're using deep learning to make it 4K now, so it's crazy seeing something from the 70s like, oh, it looks like it was made today, but also it's set in the past. It's what people who are in the past saw.
Yeah. That's because people always look so different in old photos. So do they look just like people now? Or do people
they look, there's a distinct look to people back then. Like you couldn't find one today if you wanted to. A 70s person, maybe here and there. Like sometimes you meet someone, you look like a 90s person. You would have belonged there.
I used to get porn from there's a grocery store that had a video place in it, and they would have their porn out. And when I was like 16, if the person was cool, or even 15, I'd get like 10 other movies and then slip that
old
one
trick
in there. And then I remember one getting stuck in our VHS player, and this is like pre-internet, and I had to figure out how to fix a VHS player.
Oh, damn. Trial by fire. How did you get out of it?
I found the screws and unscrewed the thing and messed with it, and I was eventually able to get it out.
My friend's dad gave him a whole bunch of it because he was afraid he was gay. So like, here you go, son. Here's some not gay stuff so that you don't turn to the dark side. And he never was, but he's just kind of like, okay, thank you, I guess.
Yeah. Like if you're gay, it was because I guess I just never seen porn before. I'm not gay after all. People have, it's funny, you think we've come such a long ways with all of that stuff, but I don't know. I'm not sure how much that has progressed. I think it's hard to imagine that gay marriage was something that became legal in our lifetime. And not
becoming illegal in our lifetime tw.
Yeah.
It's going to become illegal in 2025.
Trump just had the FBI raid his home like a few hours ago.
I would bet money that 1 week from now that means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
He could be actually hanging from a noose and people could be like, look, he's literally hanging from a noose. They're going to hang him. And I just would still, he's back to normal stuff the next day. That's how it works.
Yeah.
He's going to be president 2024 through 2020 to 2032 because the insurrection works that time. And then he dies in 2032. And then Eric runs and then he doesn't win because deep fake AOC just is more in tune with the culture than not regular AOC. She's kind of stuck in 2028. She's stuck there, but deep fake AOC just really connected with the culture.
And then someone listens to this like, wow, how did he get it spot on? He called deep fake AOC. Mm-hmm. My first, I think I remember specifically, I might have talked about it before. My first time masturbating was, I had my own TV and VHS in my room, at one point, and
it was bound to happen.
And I would record Baywatch and then I would play slow motion Baywatch in slow motion because my VHS player could really slow it down. And I remember, Pamela Anderson, she was the stuff. And I remember the first time that I masturbated. Yeah, I've said this before. Once I was about to come, I just didn't know what that feeling was and didn't know. I thought I was just going to pee everywhere. And I stopped and I ran to the bathroom. And so my first time masturbating was also my first time getting blue balls. And that put me off from masturbating. It was like another few months before I worked up the courage to try that.
They don't tell you anything about that. Maybe they do in some states or countries or something. But I don't have any recollection of that being told to me in any fashion.
No. My mom tried to have a birds and bees conversation with me when I was like 23 years old, I think.
I remember my mom was telling me about with Seinfeld and Friends, because, it's the 90s, you'd watch Seinfeld and Friends at 8 p.m. through 10 p.m. or whatever. And then she would say, like, that this is just TV, right? And this is not how the world works. Like, everyone's having sex with each other, just all casually and like that. It's just TV. And I don't know if she was saying, like, don't do that or don't get your hopes up. One of those two. Because they did it a lot on those shows.
Yeah.
Even George got it in a lot.
Yeah. I have memories of one of the storylines that I saw was incest porn. And I guess that's a thing that's a growing trend. I guess it's getting to be quite popular on
it's taken over.
Internet. It's taking over.
No, it has taken over.
It's already there. I haven't checked in. I've just had friends telling me that incest porn's all over the place these days.
I think if you go to any mainstream outlet, it will be like one of the recommended things. The same way that if you go to YouTube without your account signed in, you get like a Mr. Beast video or the world's biggest pizza or stuff like that. Like it'll be stepmother, stepbrother, a lot of step.
It's the step. Okay.
But it still counts, right?
I mean, I guess. I mean, the whole reason why we have these taboos is because evolution built them in our minds for lots of reasons that favored our genes along the way. And we all have something like 4,000 negative mutations, and most of
Not
them
me, bro.
are just recessive. So most of them just don't express themselves and they don't really matter that much. And most people just don't have the same recessive traits. So, you know, Catherine has 4,000 different like negative mutation things that also aren't expressed. But if you're with someone that you're related to, they have those same traits, and then
it's like the nuclear keys. So like you've got the one key and that's fine if you turn it, but if you get that other person that turns it, you're going to end up with whatever negative mutation baby that is.
Yeah, but there's rats. Rats prefer first cousins or second cousins. If you let them smell.
Well, I don't prefer this, but I'll still eat it. But I prefer first cousins.
they if you give them a bunch of urine, see which one they're attracted to. It's like first cousin, and that's because now you're getting that much more of your genes into something. So instead of 50% of your genes being in a child, you're getting like 60% of your genes in a child. So there's actually some advantages to it that are then usually it just depends on what species that usually there's just enough defects that happen that it hasn't been favored. And actually that's why, like, we're going to be talking about in and out group bias. That's a possible explainer for why, like, even people that are maybe would discriminate against other races normally find themselves very very attracted to other races, because it's a very easy indicator that of genetic diversity when someone has. And so for making a baby for humans, genetic diversity is usually pretty well favored.
But you're saying they are attracted despite their conscious hatred?
So there's,
or not hatred necessarily, but just general.
With social norms, you might have these in groups, and then here's this out group, and we don't talk to them. We don't like that out group over there. But usually when it comes to sex, you end up liking that out group person.
Yeah, I mean, you could even do that with the with sexes itself, because there's men that might not like women but still have sexual relations with women even though they don't like or respect them, and same with women, like they still do it, and that's a huge in-out group.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. But there's speculation that the reason why there's incest laws is because cousin banging is really not that bad for humans. Like, no one's naturally sleeping with their mom or dad or brother or sister or whatever because they're too closely related. But a lot of people have some attractive cousins, cousins that they're like, oh, that's an attractive cousin that I have. And so again, you would just be getting more genes into your offspring, and probably you wouldn't be having too many issues if it was just a cousin. And so there's speculation that some of the things that, because if you share more of your, so like royalty over time, they didn't want to split up, have an endowment and have someone marry outside of royalty and have to split their kingdom with some nobodies or whatever. So they would marry off cousins and everything, but then they'd make laws so other people couldn't do that. So it was kind of a way of accruing wealth and keeping other people from accruing wealth. So maybe if we all started banging our cousins, we would all become wealthier,
like
generations from now.
In Simpsons, that's why Springfield and Shelbyville splits, because the people of Shelbyville wanted to have sex with their cousins.
So we have laws created for it, and you wouldn't need a law for a thing that just no one would have an inclination to do, and it's usually specifically about cousin stuff. So that's a weird thing.
It's not as weird in Iran. I can't name specific relatives, but I just recall that like marrying your first cousin or second cousin is just less of a taboo there.
Darwin did it. I think Einstein did it.
Einstein?
Yeah.
He married his first cousin?
I think it was first. Maybe it was second cousin.
That's how he figured out relativity.
Well, his kids didn't. Was a second wife and cousin. His second wife was his cousin.
Wow.
Yep.
Different world, different times.
And let's see, Darwin. Yep, Darwin married his first cousin as well.
First cuz.
Yeah. So it's a thing. Yeah, maybe we can bang cousins and it's okay.
You first. I've got paperwork to do.
What are your thoughts on 69ing, by the way? You don't have to answer this, but I'm not a big fan of it.
I don't think anyone is. I think it's more appealing on paper, and then once you're there, it's a weird focus thing.
Yeah.
You don't.
There's just too much going on, and yeah, it's not overly comfortable.
And you're oscillating. You're like you're not actually there. It's like this, and then you're focused there. And maybe some people can focus on both at the same time. Those like professional sex people.
Yeah.
Yeah. The what is it? The Florida. Is there 69ers? No, there's the Sixers. Is it still called that? The Philadelphia Sixers, the something Sixers.
Yeah. It's the Sixers.
Of course it's not the 69ers. We would have never heard the end of it.
Their mascot is two people and one walks around on their hands. Yeah, it's all those. Man, it's you watch porn and it's like, oh, I guess I'm just lame. Like I don't want to do any acrobatics. Of those. Yeah, like weird acrobatics. Does anyone actually do like the wheelbarrow or whatever in there?
The pile driver.
The pile driver. I don't think that it's a thing that exists outside of porn. I think you try it like once. I've done it. I've tried it. It's like it's weird and awkward. I mean, you should try it all. Give it a shot. Maybe you'll find your thing and it works. But yeah, it's my memory of wheelbarrowing was an awkward one.
Who am I doing this for?
I mean, it is. That's what's nice about relationships is you can have funny sex. You know, like you can do awkward things and then have some laughs about it and try. Oh,
because there's less pretense and it's not the stakes are high.
Yeah, but if it's your first night with a lady and you try the wheelbarrow,
you're knocking on their asshole or something. Ding dong, the Postmates is here.
So let me see a few things that I can recall. One
from the book.
Yeah, from the book.
Because I've got some questions.
Oh, hit me.
So here's a very broad one, and it sounds like it's when you look at sex through the angle of procreation. It's like, okay, there's all the sex stuff going on, so your genes can go, and that's why you're attracted to this person because of the genes, and then the genes mix together for a better outcome. What is the theory of, because gay people are not just humans, isn't there gay animals? Like what's going on with that? If it's all procreation, then because it's not all procreation, but is there theories?
Yeah.
I'm not going to genocide anyone, I promise. Big fan of the gays. I'll spray more people with it.
Yeah.
I'll spray myself with it.
who isn't a fan of the gays?
Oh, a bunch of people.
A bunch of people. I mean, who
quite a few.
Yeah, quite a few.
Quite a few people spend an inordinate amount of time hating that group.
Like such. It's like, yeah, I don't understand it. But I mean, I think so. There is in terms of homophobia and stuff. I just had Marty Hazelton and
the biggest homophobe in the States. Yeah.
Someone else on Here We Are. Oh man, I'm forgetting her name. Shoot. But they're talking about with abortion and all of these other things that a lot of it is about restrictive. There's people that are sexually restrictive that are, big into monogamy and needing to, family to be a certain structure, and you only have sex with one person, and they just frown upon any kind of promiscuity because it's a threat. Like evolutionarily, it's a threat. Your wife or husband could be like lured in by one of these promiscuous people. So the idea that like gay men are promiscuous, just anything that's promiscuity oriented is there's a lot of push for some sort of social punishment. And so a way of looking at why people get so against abortion, it's less about protecting life and more about trying to impart a heavy cost on promiscuity. So that's what it's about. You want them to have to pay for being promiscuous.
I saw this Daily Wire commercial for I only see it on Facebook. I don't know why. That's where they're dumping all their money, but just this little propaganda about sexual freedom does not bring you happiness. In fact, it's the opposite. And they're making the case as to why sexual freedom is the worst thing to happen to the West and why we've got to do away with it. And it just sounds so awful.
Yeah. It's
like, even if they have a point and that people have gotten less happy because of more freedoms and we don't know what to do with our freedoms yet, you still got to fight for the side of the freedom.
Yeah.
Even if it does make you less happy, you still got to be on the side of letting people have that freedom to be unhappy with their sexual freedom.
Right. Yeah.
That's how I see it, at least. But I'm not wearing a suit though. So what do I know? I'm not wearing a suit.
I think giraffes are like the gayest, and bonobos. They have like really
giraffes,
high.
Really?
Yeah, giraffes have a lot of homosexuality going on. Bonobos, I mean, it's a little bit tough to say because bonobos are having sex to, like, they barely ever have sex to procreate. Most of their sex is about soothing like social situations and stuff and greeting other bonobo tribes, and that's just how you say hello and stuff. You just quick stick
hey Paul, nice to meet you.
Exactly. And so yeah, with humans, there's been a lot of evolutionary theories along the way. One of the probably dumbest and silliest, but maybe the most entertaining to share, even though probably the least accurate one, is the sneaky fucker theory, which is there's these fish. There's a few species that do this where
they named it that. That's the science medical journal name.
Not medical journal, but yeah, it's like normally known as the sneaky fucker.
What if you're one of those people that doesn't swear? You say sneaky F word?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those people. Yeah, one of those things. And so there was there's all these, like, there's a couple fish that do this, some other things, but I'd say mostly fish, where there'll be like a huge male, and they have a harem of females, and that's a type of male. And then there's another type of male that's like the beta male or whatever, that's smaller and it's nearly identical to a female, and that fish will flirt with, like, pretend it's a female and flirt with the big guy, and then he lets her into his harem, but it's actually a him, and then he fertilizes a bunch of the females in there.
Oh, that's fun.
And so it going further, the idea is like there's a way of, you know how females often are fond of like hanging out with gay men and stuff like that. So that was kind of what some of the sneaky fucker theory was based on. It's stupid. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's a fun one nonetheless.
But so how does it apply to humans though? You're saying that
just that you know, the beta male would be the one kind of left behind with a tribe, while like the men go out and hunt, and they're like, oh, that guy's harmless. He's not interested in females, and then all the guys go out, and then there's a guy there that actually is interested in females. But it's not very explanatory because gay people are definitely gay, and but a lot of gay people have also had sex with. I mean, it might
it's a spectrum.
It might be the case that lots of gay people in the past were still, because of social pressure or whatever else, having a wife or having a female partner, and then females are just way more fluid, and there's the logic with females is kind of, well, would you rather be the one, the second wife of Brad Pitt, or the first wife of a homeless guy?
So those are slim pickings.
So
most people would. Can you do an easier one? Because most people would pick the second wife of Brad Pitt. But what about first wife of? I mean, who's a schlubby bad, like first wife of Martin Shkreli?
Yeah, okay.
First wife of Kid Rock.
So, well, the thinking is that there was a lot of times along the way where there were more favorable males, where female, it was, it would be more in females' interest for multiple females to be with one guy, and it's like that in a lot of species. There's a lot of males are a lot of like throwing a lot of spaghetti against the wall, seeing what works, and
never called it that before, but now I will.
Yeah, throwing spaghetti against the wall.
Spaghetti.
I gotta go throw some spaghetti against the wall, if you know what I mean.
Do you remember that Todd Barry joke where he's like, ladies, what would you rather have? One dirty, hasn't showered in weeks Brad Pitt, or one squeaky clean right out of the shower Todd Barry? And it really makes you think, like, so much of your preference, you're actually thinking of, you're comparing them at their best. But yeah, if someone hasn't showered in a week, you'll of course go with the person that's just showered.
Yeah, females are way more fluid. There's way higher rates of bisexuality in females than males. There's not that many bisexual males.
There's like 8
comparatively. And so with males, there's other stuff going on there. And there's when you're a fetus and cells start multiplying and building this organism, there's just a lot of things that can go in like atypical ways. Every one of us has some sort of atypical thing that happened along our development, and
balls dropped too late. And
so the idea is that
just one of them,
that there's this kind of cascade. There's a point at which your body is determined, and then a point at which your sexuality is determined in the brain. And usually, if you have a male body, you're going to have like a brain that's attracted to females, and then sometimes that just gets flipped. And
are you saying it normally forms when you're born? Most people are born with their preference, or it's formed later too?
Yeah, the early stages. But then there's some other thing where there's like gay men tend to be tend to have older brothers, and there's something there.
I never heard that. That's interesting.
There's something especially taxing. I'm forgetting of the chemicals and hormones or whatever, but there's something especially hard on the female body about having a boy, being pregnant with a boy.
Heavier?
No. There's like some chemical and then or some hormone.
Making that Y chromosome just takes longer to elongate that Y. It's just easier.
I wish I could recall it, but something about it where they think that maybe the female's body is gaining a tolerance for this and is able to like shut down this hormone as she has more female or more babies. And so over time, like when you're the third son or whatever, you're just not getting the same amount of normal male hormones, and that's causing some homosexuality. There's seemingly a couple stages of development, one in utero and then another one at puberty, where there's a specific amount of testosterone that can just get missed at a certain time, and you're just a bit more feminine. So it seems like there's a few different ways that you can become a gay man. That's interesting that it's happened in several different ways throughout our evolutionary. It's seemingly there's not just one cause of like, this is what's making a gay guy. And
have you heard, the comedian Mateo Lane, he said he's gay, his brother's gay, his cousins are gay, his uncle is gay. There's like so many gays in his family that there's this rule amongst them where it's like you're gay until proven straight when you're born into that family, just because It's so common that they just assume now.
So here's something really interesting that would be the best, solution to this mystery of how would evolution allow such a thing to happen, and it's not leading to all of life is just turning energy into offspring. That's what all of life has been doing on Earth for the most part. And one of the interesting things is it turns out that that gay men typically have more gay men's mothers typically have higher rates of fecancy, so they have more offspring. So potentially there's some sort of gene that just makes you really like dick. and sometimes you pass that gene on to a boy.
I can't suck all of them. I need some help. Get in here.
And so when that mother has so that mother has like more offspring, and then when she has females that get that gene, they also have a lot more offspring, which lead to a ton more grandchildren. And then like evolutionarily you just take a hit on the son. And not only that, but there's also a lot of species out there that they'll have an offspring that doesn't reproduce or matures much later because they can help around the nest and stuff. Gay men are potentially helping around helping around the family more, and that's helping the genes. I think that last part that hasn't really been shown in the data. I think that's kind of been disproven, but it's one of the ideas out there.
Does it get studied a lot? Because it seems like,
I think so, yeah.
Because when you're studying stuff, normally it's for a means to an end, and then it's like, what is the means to the end of really figuring that out, when there's other things, like if we can find a way to desalinate water or...
Oh, sure. But there's people are studying everything, and they should. It helps for us to understand all of how evolution works and how it can take
I want all of it to be asked.
Yeah, because they've also they've learned a lot and made a lot of mistakes along the way.
It's just interesting to be I guess it's not the only thing they study, but it would be an interesting dissertation to be like, oh, I'm studying where gay comes from. I'm that professor.
Well, a lot of gays do.
Oh,
You
because they're
know?
like, where did I come from? Why am
Yeah.
I like this? And then maybe it's trying to reconcile like growing up feeling different, and then
And it's also it also is a little bit of an evolutionary puzzle. I think we have some answers now, but it's a cool puzzle to think about.
Yeah.
If you it could be very easy to live in a world where we just like, ooh, diversity is so interesting. Let's look into that and study that more and find out why we have this spectrum of humanity. Isn't that so interesting? And it's just unfortunate that there's just so much prejudice out there that it's a taboo thing to even like, oh, should we try to explain the gays? Is that even okay to do? And it wouldn't be the case if there wasn't so much homophobia and everything else. But definitely we should study everything, in my opinion.
And that's what we're here for. The show that will one day uncover everything.
Everything. Okay, we're at 46 minutes. Plus
Already?
there's intros and stuff.
We haven't even talked about balls yet. How do we get to
69 minutes of record? We haven't talked about balls. I just looked up a list: penguins, bonobos. Oh yeah, bonobos.
What, people that do sex without necessarily to reproduce?
Yeah, lions, sheep, just homosexual. Oh, albatrosses. They have a lot of lesbian stuff going on.
Nice.
With the albatrosses. They have a lot of. It's hard to raise offspring with them, and the men don't often stick around, and so the females will kind of like take turns, and they'll be pair bonded and stuff, and like seemingly displaying lots of affection towards one another.
You said females are more fluid generally. Did you explain why that is?
Yeah, just the idea that throughout evolution, it made a lot of sense for females to like multiple females to be with a guy. So then there was things that would make females like more attracted to other females to make that work a little bit better.
Oh.
And then through that, it doesn't happen much the other way. Usually if there's two guys married to a lady, it's usually in some area where things are really tough, and Portland. It's usually like brothers. So there's not the same like jealousy or whatever going on. I wish I could remember the regions that's happened a few times in the past, but that's an unusual thing to see. Seeing two ladies with a guy, not that unusual.
Yeah, I was listening to Very Ape podcast. Our friends over at Very Ape, Sean and Cass, and they're in a throuple, and then they had a guest who's in like I don't know, it's one guy and 5 girls or something like that. It was just a very, very disproportionate amount on one side, and I was like, that's crazy. How does that work? And then I'm kind of looking into them. It seems like they're all getting along, but it also seems like that's all you do though, which no judgment to that. That's if that's what's leading your life happily, then do that. But it seems like all the energy is put into still staying together and being a 6-person relationship. Yeah.
I mean, I would love to. I've never had a 3-way. I'd love to. It sounds delightful, but the idea
Come to the Campout, make it happen in the special tent.
But the idea of trying to sustain a relationship with 4 people or whatever, like, I mean, it's common in Mormonism, does it quite a bit. And the idea of just having that many people to try to manage various issues and everything, that seems, there's nothing terribly sexy sounding about that to me.
Because in the throuple scenario, I've seen it where because 2 people will be good, and then one person is going through whatever. You're in some kind of mood, you've got some problem with something, and then it's weird to have 2 people that are feeling like, why are you being like this, and then the other person being out of the group at the moment. Whereas when it's just one-on-one, it's like, why are they being like this? Why am I annoyed with them? Why it's just 1 versus 1. But then when it's 2 versus 1, then it becomes an interesting dynamic. But it's fun to see all of them.
I'm surprised there's a few I hadn't heard have homosexual behavior. Walruses, bison.
Gay bison.
Gay bison is like, I didn't suspect it in the bison. I don't know why. The gray whale. There's gay whales. That's kind of amazing. Ostriches. Okay. Hyenas are weird. I wonder if hyenas have lesbian stuff going on, because the females are dominant in hyenas. So maybe that's what's
Did the hyenas have like really big clits? Am I remembering that wrong?
It's indistinguishable from penises. It's like you need to be a hyena expert to know if you're looking at male or female.
That's nuts.
And they give birth through it, and it looks.
That's why they're laughing so crazy.
Horrifying when they do it. It's
you got to have a sense of humor if that's your physical reality.
I mean, imagine giving birth out of your penis.
I don't even like imagining peeing out of it. No, that's not true. Sometimes I'll be like, it'd be nice if I peed, but imagining a kidney stone. Although I've never done anything to avoid a kidney stone. But it's so rare, and you think like, I'll take it. If it happens, I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to drink lots of Diet Coke or something for it to happen.
Yeah. But also in thinking about, isn't everything for reproduction? Well, in the huge picture, yes. But you don't even need to talk about you don't even need to look at the gays for like an evolutionary mystery. Just the idea of 69ing is peculiar. If all of sex is for reproduction, and all humans, not all humans, but most humans do all sorts of non-reproductive type behavior in the bedroom.
That's most of it. And we're hoping to make it more.
Yeah.
We're hoping to make it so that it would be great if there was no accidental reproduction. And I know people will debate this because then we might have an underpopulation problem, which I don't think that's real. I know that it's not real. Elon Musk said that the biggest problem in the world is that, but it just sounded so backwards.
Oh, the same guy that says we must get to Mars because all of Earth is going to die any moment.
That sounds more likely than the underpopulation thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, how can you say both things?
Maybe he just has too much space. He has so much money that he's like lonely in the giant mega mansion, and he's like, there's just not enough people to clean my toilet for $7 an hour.
He's just playing to the conservative stuff. I don't know what it is.
Conservatives don't fall for stuff like that, though. They're very critical, and they don't just fall for a thing.
If Musk is doing some sort of 4D chess thing, which I'm skeptical of, I think he's just kind of a troll and has a huge ego, but it would be kind of smart to get conservatives interested in Teslas, like people that were a few years ago the last people that would get a fuel efficient car or an electric car or something like that. If
that is brilliant,
for whatever reason, it opens up an enormous market, and I'll excuse a lot of weird trolling and all of the other things that I don't necessarily like about Elon Musk if we get a shitload of electric cars on the planet, because we need them. And yeah, we're going to be out of fuel real soon.
Yeah, by May, I think, right? Next May is when we run out.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, it'll just, we'll just keep on. You just got to keep on building pipelines and stuff. My first girlfriend was a geochemist at MIT, and she was going to become a professor. She got a PhD from MIT, and then she ended up working at
This
Exxon.
is when you're still in 7th grade still. You always had the type of high education woman in her 30s.
Yeah. And This was, I was 23 was my first like serious girlfriend, and she went to work at Exxon, and I went and visited her recently, and to find oil. So you find these, you take samples and see where oil might be, and she just no longer does that. They just gave her a different job at Exxon or whatever, because they're like, it's gone. There's no more to find. She doesn't even use her degree anymore. They're not even looking anymore. They're not telling anyone that.
Just in the States, or they're talking everywhere?
I don't know.
What about the Saudis? Exxon. Or that's too guarded? They guard.
I mean, this is like in Texas.
Okay.
And so yeah, electric cars would be dope. And whatever problems come along with the electric cars, that's just more shit that's going to need to be solved and worked on. But there's no way we can use the fuel that we're burning now. So anyhow, so yeah, we're not the only species that does. I would say that is pretty particularly human, though. There's, most species have mating seasons, and they just do it at this particular time, or once, twice a year, or whatever, where they're in season. And so the idea that humans are just having so much sex and having sex with pregnant women and stuff, and that clearly can't lead to reproduction, and it's just weird. So there's just a lot more going on that's just more about social bonding and stuff, probably kind of like what bonobos do, I think. So yeah, humans are just kind of peculiar in that way. And it's great. We get to have a bunch of recreational sex.
Yeah, and it's segmented off in its own category, which I'm not arguing it should be the other way, but it is interesting that it's like this underbelly that's like not talked about, and it's taboo. It is talked about, but you know what I mean? It's like very separated from regular existence.
Well, the very idea that we find ourselves so concerned with what other people's sex lives are and gossiping and stuff. I mean, there has to be a lot of evolved mental adaptations going on there that are maybe backfiring in our modern era. But there was probably along our evolutionary path of a million years or whatever, there probably was some advantages to, being jealous or punishing people for acting a certain way in a sexual situation, or keeping it to yourself and sneaking off. I mean, there's a lot of primates there'll be like the sex that's out in the open, and then the sneaky, like cheating sex and stuff where the guys that, unless you're studying them, you'd be like, oh, that guy is the alpha and gets all of the women. And then you find from DNA testing, like, oh, actually those ladies are sneaking off with a lot of other guys all of the time. And so
his biggest fear.
And speaking of like peculiar, so there's also just like weird kind of potential hiccups in our mind too, which is a lot of what this book explores. I remember one of their reasoning of, why do straight men like trans porn? And it has to do with mirror neurons, which is we've talked about mirror neurons, right?
Oh yeah. We didn't do a whole episode on it, but it's come up a bunch of times.
Yeah, like these monkey see, monkey do neurons. Yeah, we talked about it with autism and stuff, where I see Ramin move or wave his hand or something, and there's a part of my brain that's imagining myself doing that, imagining myself in that situation. So you watch porn and you see some guy banging some lady, and rather than being angry about it or jealous, or so, you're imagining that's you, that could be you in that situation. And so when you see like a really big dick too, you're like, whoa, what if I had one of those really big dicks? There's like something that goes off when they give people MRIs and stuff. And so when there's trans that have a big dick and big boobs, it just like short circuits some stuff in like a really interesting way. And I guess that's why some people are into that.
I heard someone on some podcast make that same point, like how it's the combination of a regular porn, a regular straight one in one person. At least to them, they were making that. And then they had like a specific boundary with things. It's like, oh, do you like hooking up with trans people specifically? They're like, no, not necessarily. They're just very into the videos. And then they went on this big rant about that. And I thought it was so interesting. I'd never thought of that.
And guys will tend to like that, and females will tend to like male body with vagina.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But I
but like not as much as dudes though. Dudes are blowing those numbers out of the water.
Correct, but that's in every single category of porn that there is. Something like 92% of porn is watched by men.
Of course,
at least.
I think that's off by like 8% too, with a 8% margin of error.
I know ladies that watch porn. It's girls watch porn sometimes.
Yeah, there is. I mean, there's some that even make it.
Yeah.
Some of them make it and enjoy it and stuff. But just in general,
it's much smaller. Well, we also just masturbate more frequently. I think it's. How many times more do you think the average guy masturbates than a female?
Well, I don't actually know. Like, I would say maybe double, but I've always wondered if that's physiological or if that's conditioning, because it's more
that's a really interesting
more
point.
Shamed. But I could see why it would be more for men, because you're recycling the sperm and stuff. You're like always, it's building up more, and we've gone through this many times before, but you're set up to produce millions of children a year. They're set up to produce one offspring a year, so there's more cost in the mating, yada yada. But then with the actual orgasm part, I don't know why that would be less, other than that it's harder. It is harder for them to get off than for men to get off. That's a fact, Jack.
And there are here's an interesting thing about why we like boobs and butts potentially, and why we're attracted to that, because it's unusual. That's another thing that humans have that's pretty unusual, because they'll have, everyone's seen the big red baboon ass or whatever.
Of course. Wake up to it every morning.
It goes, yeah.
It's my alarm clock. I have a visual alarm clock. A big baboon ass that comes up right to your face, and the brightness of the red actually wakes up your eyes because it mimics the sun.
Baboons will, in studies, when they're showing them TVs, they'll give them juice, which they love, just pure liquid sugar. And so they're kind of like paying them in juice to just change the channel, just press a button in the screen, and if they watch something for a while, they don't get any more juice, but every time they change the channel, they get more juice. And you do that, and you put a red female ass on there, and they're just like, I'm good with that juice. Let me just
I got all the juice I need right here.
Let me just stare at this big red ass for a while. And they'll also spend a lot more time looking at a dominant male's face. You're kind of being like, oh, how do I get like that? I feel like there's something like that going on there. You where males are kind of studying the most successful males.
Yeah. Didn't you tell me about some study of whether they had the choice of getting a banana or looking at photos of high status monkeys, and then they would choose the high status monkeys to look at?
Yeah. And there's a lot of fun stuff like that. Yeah.
Isn't that funny that we're higher status than all of them?
Yeah.
Like, I'm higher status than every monkey on Earth, I think. Yeah. I mean, if you just dropped me off there, then of course I'm going to be the lowest status one. I can't do stuff. But like, as I am now, like in terms of acquiring things and my freedom,
yeah,
I'm higher status than any monkey.
Definitely. Female monkeys should definitely be way into you.
I'm taken. Back away. You're going to get me in trouble. I don't do that. I'm not that kind of guy.
So there's a lot of oh my gosh, we're almost at 69 minutes.
Oh no, we're gonna have to slow it down or speed it up or something.
You know what?
Put a bow in it.
Let's put a bow on it because I want to yeah.
What about episode 96? We'll be back. We'll talk about it again.
Yeah, we'll talk about boobs and butts some more.
Oh, it just occurred to me that 96 is the opposite.
Yeah, that's
like
no
one is getting sucked.
That's a cuddle position.
Yeah. Also, I think I made this joke already in like episode 3. So
I don't remember.
In a loop. I'm in a loop again. I did it again. I'm in a loop. I'm breaking out of it.
So Mind Under Matter Campout is 1 month away, even less by the time that you're listening to this. We are so busy. We are so excited to see you guys. Get your tickets right away, get them early. And we are, like I said, we have a few volunteer positions if someone is wanting to come but is restricted with the ticket cost, which is very affordable. And so we just changed a few things. We may not have alcohol vendors because it was going to turn into a whole thing, and there's going to have to be like roped off, and then we'd have to like not allow anyone to bring their own beer and just all this other stuff and insurance things. And so you can bring your own stuff, but we also are probably going to have some free kegs of beer there. So if I pull that off, I'm going to be super thrilled. So not only is it going to be an awesome festival, but there's going to be some free beer.
And that's our guarantee that Shane is going to try to get that happening.
It'll probably happen.
Yeah, guaranteed that we're trying.
All right. And until next time,
keep on salivating, honeys.
Ding.